Well, I want to keep the hitters off stride with my change and then my fastball. I know they're a great ball club. They have great hitters. I have a lot of respect for them, but I'm not afraid of them. That's just basically my plan for tonight, just to keep them off stride.
Ashley's smart enough to stay with what's worked for her, and her pattern is to pitch low, to change up, to move the ball inside and out, and I think this is what she's going to do with Moline, and if her infield supports her as it has, she's going to be a hard person to beat.
Let's talk about that Moline team and Coach Bob Seitz as he takes his swan song in his last game.
Well, I think this is a very emotional night, of course, for Coach Seitz. Anytime you've coached and taught as long as he has and know that in the next 2 hours that will end it for you, you've got to have some emotions. But as usual, he deflects it to the players, and that's probably a good way to handle it.
Lori talked to Coach Seitz and his feelings on his last high school game.
It's a great feeling for me individually, but more important, I think it's a great feeling for our team and the girls and my assistant coaches. But it's a thrill every time you come to this beautiful park in Pekin and to represent your area in the state tournament, Lorraine.
Well, Coach Seitz deflected it to the players again, and I think he's trying to keep the butterflies down, but I also think he's very confident in this team.
Well, he has a great team, and one of those players is pitcher Sandy Littig.
Sandy's an imposing presence on the mound. She's 6 feet tall, takes a nice long stride toward the hitter, and throws about 59, 60 miles an hour. She's got an off-speed pitch, and she keeps the ball down, throws a drop, throws a little bit of a curve or a rollover drop, and is very hard to get an extra base hit off, and she will also be, as she has in the tournament, a very imposing figure tonight.
Lori talked with her about being a reliever in the 1992 game and being the star senior this year.
It feels great. Right now, the nerves are going, and you have to make everything work to be the top team here, and you have to make all your pitches work. Your defense has to work, so you're just nervous about everything, making sure it all works. And 2 years ago, when I was here, it wasn't as much as a tense and stuff because you're just there having fun because you're behind, but you're just, trying to help the team along. So,
being considered the main pitcher always gives a pitcher a little bit more confidence, and I think that's how Sandy feels. And it also gives her team more confidence in her, knowing that she is the one that's brought them this far and has gotten them to the championship game, and I think they're looking forward to taking the field with her on the mound.
Well, we're looking forward to bringing this game to you. Perennial favorite Moline and first comer and very aggressive, excellent Morton. We'll be back with starting lineups right after this. Back at Mineral Springs Park, and here's PA announcer Bob Neal.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the head coaches and players for the championship game of the 1994 Class AA Girls State Softball Tournament. For the visiting Potters of Morton High School in Morton, who enter the game with a record of 36 wins and 3 losses, please meet head coach Gigi McIntosh. And for the Maroons of Moline High School in Moline, who enter the game with a record of 28 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie, please meet head coach Bob Seitz. For Morton, assistant coach Mary Ann Day. For Moline, assistant coach Ron Van Gotham. For Morton, assistant coach Kim Knox. For Moline, assistant coach Kelly Gorgel and assistant coach Jack Wheeler. And now the players. For Morton, number 2, Deanna Smith. For Moline, number 4, Amanda Bevins. For Morton, number 7, Melissa Allen. For Moline, number 7, Kara Bunty. For Morton, number 8, Angie Waykazer. For Moline, number 10, Jenny Pierce. For Morton, number 9, Holly Collins. For Moline, number 11, Mindy Johns. For Morton, number 10, Holly Hovind. For Moline, number 12, Tara Ely. For Morton, number 11, Lori Greiner. For Moline, number 13, Susie Arnold. For Morton, number 12, Melinda Davis. For Moline, number 14, Amy D. Schmidt. For Morton, number 13, Sarah Stetter. For Moline, number 15, Brandy Bevins. For Morton, number 14, Kirsten Smith. For Moline, number 17, Mandy Volk. For Morton, number 15, Ashley Fauser. For Moline, number 20, Sandy Liddig. For Morton, number 16, Lucy Miller. For Moline, number 23, Sammy Goldstone. For Morton, number 18, Brooke Hatterman. For Moline, number 28, Trish Charbonneau. And for Moline, number 32, Nikki Gorge. Number 35, Jody Hoover. Number 36, Angela Kent. Number 37, Amber Wild. Number 50, Jody Ingersoll. Number 51, Wendy Waters. Number 52, Stacy Reeder. And number 58, Kelly Dexter. The umpires for this evening's championship game, behind the plate, Pat Creek from Quincy. At first base, Bobby Mattingly from Paris. And at third base, Steve Bell from New Dayton.
There you have the lineups for all the teams. We're going to give you the starting lineups and the starting defensive lineups as you look at the tremendous standing room only crowd here at Mineral Springs Park. It is a record-setting crowd here for the AA Championship as they see the three-man umpiring crew approaching the field. And it is a lively crew. These two teams have played twice before this year. Moline getting the better of both those games in a doubleheader, but only by one run. So we expect a great game here tonight. Morton is on the first base side and will be the visitors, and Moline has the third base side and will be the home team in tonight's championship game as they talk to each other with last-second instructions, get the butterflies out.
First baseman number 8, Angie Wakebeaver. Batting 7, first baseman number 16, Lucy Miller.
You may not have been able to hear that, but they just said do it, and they have certainly done it a long time. Let's take a look at the batting lineup for Morton and the Potters. Leading off, shortstop Lori Greiner. At second, Holly Collins. DH, Deanna Smith. The catcher, Brooke Hatterman. What an arm she's got. The pitcher, Ashley Fauser. At third base, freshman Angie Wakehazer. At first, Lucy Miller. In center field, Kirsten Smith. And in left field, Sarah Stetter. And there is your pitcher for Moline, the senior Sandy Liddig. See her record and her ERA. She pitched as a reliever 2 years ago, and now she is the starter. Behind her, defending for the Maroons, you've got in left Ely, in center Bevins, and in right Bunty. The infield third to first is Charbonneau. She is outstanding. Pierce at short, Arnold at second, and Volk at first. Behind the plate, the only non-senior, Nikki Gorge. There's first base umpire Bobby Mattingly. Herself a fine catcher. Pat Creek will be behind the plate. She's from Quincy, and Steve Bond will be at third. It is a gorgeous night here. There is no wind, as you can see by the flag here. 78 degrees, and it is cooling down a bit after a very nice day here in Pekin. It has been great, a great weekend. It's perfect for softball, and you can't ask for better conditions, so we're ready to start us off, and it's time to play ball. Stepping in is Lori Greiner, hitting .357. She is a sophomore and has had a hot bat in this tournament. We're underway, ball one. She's hit the ball well in her semifinal, hit a double to lead off and hit a long out fly, but she has hit it solidly all tournament. That's just what you want a leadoff hitter to do. A little bit low, 2-0. So quickly Sandy goes behind a little bit on the leadoff hitter.
I think it's smart for a batter in a game like this to take a pitch or two because the pitchers are generally nervous in this situation, Ann.
And you should know.
Yes, and I was nervous just like they are.
Well, she shows the senior, and she comes right back and gets the strike down the pipe. 2-1. Of course, it's a Double-A state championship game here in Pekin, Illinois for the Illinois High School Association. Good look at the shortstop. On the outside corner, strike 2, evens the count.
The way these two pitchers have pitched, with both of them throwing no-hitters in their last game, this could be the game where one mistake decides it.
We've got two fine defensive teams and two good hitting teams, and so far, there's a pop-up quick short out to second. Susie Arnold gathers it in for out number 1. So there is contact, which there wasn't a whole lot of earlier in the tournament, so already they're putting the bat on the ball.
Holly Collins is up next, and she's a batter that does a lot of things. She can slap, she can bunt, she makes good contact, left-hander with good speed going towards first base.
She likes to use that slap bunt and did it very successfully in the semifinal. You see she's hitting .434, so she gets on a lot and tries it right there. Good placement with the bat, not only a decent speed, but also good placement with those bunts.
Right, and Liddig threw her a good pitch, low and outside. You have to stay in the box a little longer with a pitch like that if you're a bunter.
Called a ball, 1-0. Tries it again, the outside pitch, and that count evens at 1-1.
The bunt's a major weapon in softball, particularly used when teams have trouble making contact with the pitcher, and no one's really made contact with these two pitchers in this tournament so far.
And she swings at that one for strike 2, and you can hear that slap that Sandy Liddick does when she comes back with, I don't know, is it the glove or her ball hand?
Her glove hand hits her thigh and really doesn't give her, I don't think, any additional speed, but it's certainly a distraction to the hitter, the extra motion and the sound.
Ball is high, 2-2 the count to Holly Collins.
It's a little unique in softball. I've not seen anyone do that.
I've seen pitchers who hit their thigh with their ball hand coming through, but you're right, I've not seen a glove hand hitting. Infielder's way in for the bunt. She slaps at it. Does what all good ball players do, hustles down in case it was dropped, but no chance as Nikki Gorge gathers it in. And that is out number 2 on the strikeout for Sandy Liddick. And that will bring up designated hitter Deanna Smith.
Deanna also pitches and has been a very strong pitcher for Morton for the last 3 years. She has a situation this year where Ashley Fauser has moved ahead of her, but she's been a major cog on the mound for Morton this year in a lot of ball games.
Strike 1 as she goes right after the first offering by Liddick.
Deanna can also play third base, and today played right field when the right fielder had a temperature.
You need those versatile players on your team because you never know what's going to happen, and it's nice when you have players like these with so much experience over the years. Count even at 1-1. 2 outs. Top half of first. Contact right over the glove of Sandy Liddick. Coming over is Jenny Pierce and thrown it out, says Bobby Mattingly at first. So the Potters go down 1-2-3 in the top half of the first. There's no score. We'll be back. Well, Sandy Liddick from Moline set the Potters down 1-2-3. Let's see what Ashley Fauser does. Let's set the lineups for the Maroons. At short, also leading off, Jenny Pierce. At second, Susie Arnold. In center, Brandy Bevins. At third, Trish Charbonneau. The DH is Mindy Johns. At first, Mandy Volk. In right field, Kara Bunty. The catcher, the only non-senior, Nikki Gorge. And in left field, Tara Ely. There is Ashley Fauser, the junior from Morton. What an outstanding tournament she has had. Look at that ERA.
and over a lot of innings, so that's not something that's just a 1 or 2 game thing. She's been consistent for a lot of ball games.
Well, the defense playing behind Fowler from in center, in the outfield from left to right. Sarah Stetter in left, in center Kirsten Smith, and in right Melinda Davis, who has been fighting a fever. In the infield from third base, Angie Wakehazer. At short, Lori Greiner. At second, Holly Collins, and at first, Lucy Miller. The battery, Fowler to Brooke Hatterman, the outstanding catcher for the Potters. As you see, the bunt attempt by Jenny Pierce. Ball 1. So we're underway in the bottom half of the first. You see the 350 average. Moline is a great hitting team right down the lineup. That's one of the things that makes them so tough. The infield is way in on this batter. They don't think there's anything but a bunt coming here, Lori.
Well, she's probably a converted right-hander, and they're not going to hit the ball very deep. As you can see by the Morton outfield, they're also in. And a lot of softball teams have what I call plate setters. They have the outfield's playing on the edge of the grass because they know she's not going to hit the ball for power.
That's as close in as you'll ever see in infield and outfield as the count evens up at 2-2. Of course, she has the great change when it doesn't go in the dirt, and they plan to bunt with that change. She fouls it off.
You know, I always like to see my pitchers throw a change to a batter like this because they're coming out of the box full speed and they run right by it a lot of times.
Ruled a swing, so the count is still 2-2. So with that slap swing, it appears as a bunt initially, and then of course it is considered a swing. It goes for nothing but a foul tip right over our location here. Jenny Pierce, of course, a contact hitter and very good speed. She is quick going down first.
She just made that great play to end the first inning.
You saw her roving quickly to her left as a defender. Now that ball goes outside and the count goes full.
The one thing you don't want to do with a slapper is put them on with a walk because it puts somebody on that has tremendous speed.
Hanging tough. This is a real battle here at the plate.
Pierce has been selected to play in the Super 60 that's sponsored by the Chicago Tribune, I believe, and has the 60 top high school players in the state of Illinois.
We have a little conversation with Gigi McIntosh talking to umpire Pat Creek. We're not real sure what the discussion is. I think she's questioning whether or not it was a bunt attempt or a swing, and she wants an explanation, and Pat's giving her a clear explanation of what she believed it was. And Gigi goes back.
Pat's a veteran umpire, has done many state tournaments, has done many ASA national tournaments.
And has been a player herself. That ball does just what you said they did not want to do, and Jenny Pierce goes down to first with a walk. And that will bring up second baseman Susie Arnold.
Another player with great quickness. All softball teams try and put a lot of quickness in those first 2 spots.
Of course, expect the bunt here. She goes for it. Oh, Jenny got caught off first, but nobody there to make the play. Strike 1. First and third are in so far, and of course, second baseman and shortstop have to make sure they're ready for any slap attempt. That ball is wide. 1-1.
One thing about Moline that I've noticed in this tournament is they're a very patient team at the plate. They don't swing at many bad pitches. You have to throw them a strike.
That comes from a lot of experience of playing the game, 60 to 80 games every summer, plus your high school season.
The Quad Cities is noted for its great ASA girls fast pitch and usually has a team in the National ASA tournament at several different age levels every summer.
Well, and of course, last weekend, Rock Island Alleman finished as the Class A champ, and they are opponents during the season and play together during the summer. 1-2 the count. Fouled off the plate, which is a fair ball, and quickly thrown out by Ashley Fowler at second, so they get the lead runner, which is a great play, and there is the first out.
That was not hit in a real quick manner to the pitcher either. It was a high bouncer. The shortstop got there well in advance, and Fowler made a real nice throw to her.
And that brings up Brandy Bevins, the center fielder. Brandy, also senior, fouls off a little bit late. At first, of course, on the fielder's choice is Susie Arnold.
Brandy's also another selectee to the Super 60 All-Star team. They have 3, Brandy and Jenny Pierce and Trish Charbonneau.
Number 3 hitter here, 1 out, runner on first. Fouled sharply, but to the right side of the infield, just out of the reach of Lucy Miller. 0-2, so Fowler is ahead of Bevins. There you get a look at Susie Arnold over at first, who got on with the fielder's choice.
We still haven't seen Fowler's changeup.
Now it's going to be interesting to see who she picks to give it to. Bounces in, picked up nicely, and oh boy, I tell you what, you do not want to mess around with Brooke Hatterman because she has a gun.
She's been timed at 1.7 seconds from home to first.
Oh. Well, she made a great play, probably the play of the game in the semis to get them into this game when she had runners on first and third and made a decision. Gone up to second base, Holly Collins, who quickly tags and goes for the double play. Great play by second baseman Holly Collins, who has done that all tournament. They get the double play, and take a look at this.
Here we see her turning quickly, making the throw, and without even hesitating, whirling and throwing to first. Lucy Miller makes a nice stretch on that play also.
Well, there's a conference on the mound. The Maroons ready to go to inning number 2. You see the zeros across the board, so it's just as this tournament has been. 2 great teams who came into this game having not many hits, and we expected a well-played game, and you've seen just a little bit of what we have in store.
I think defense is going to be the key in this game because both pitchers, I think, are going to be very solid, and there isn't going to be a lot of hitting, and if you make a mistake on defense, that could be the key to the whole game.
Well, starting off is going to be Brooke Hatterman, the cleanup hitter for Morton, with a lofty .423 batting average. She's hit the ball hard in the tournament, only, I believe, 1 hit. However, it has always been moving that ball around, and she is a dangerous prospect up there.
Hatterman's been selected to try out for the 1996 Olympic team. They have reduced the number to 500 players now, and that's quite an honor for a high school player.
Well, we haven't seen Fowler's changeup, but how do you like Sandy's?
I like Sandy's changeup, and I think maybe she should even throw it a little more with her speed.
Because I can do this too. There's a little bit of trouble on that one. 1-2 goes the count to Hatterman.
She's done a great job of keeping the ball down in this tournament. She has a good infield, and she uses it.
She has an outstanding infield, and you are right. Although they haven't had to do a lot in this tournament, part of it's being ready. Again, bounced high over the plate comes Jenny Pierce, and again the same result as she quickly grabs it going to her left for out number 1.
She ends up about 40 feet from first when she throws the ball. She's on full speed on the first step.
Well, that's that experience of knowing where balls are hit and getting good breaks off the ball. And here's pitcher Angie Fowler trying to do a little damage from the other part of the game. She's a good hitter, and she's the number 5 hitter for the Potters. Good swing, strike number 1.
Ashley Fowler's like a lot of outstanding fast-pitch softball pitchers. She can hit as well as she can pitch. They don't sit back and expect the rest of the team to get all the runs.
Well, so many times your pitcher is often one of the best athletes on the team in high school, so often they are the best hitter. Now, Sandy Liddick does not hit. That doesn't mean she can't. There's just a choice to use a DH by Coach Bob Seitz.
That's right, but she also plays on the Moline basketball team, and they have a very fine basketball program, so there's an indication of what kind of all-around athlete she is.
Count is even, 1-1. There's 1 out. This is the top of the second inning. Strike 2. So Liddick getting ahead of her counterpart. Both pitchers very calm, seem to be in the groove, doing what they want. And the hitters feeling each other out. And of course they know each other. Ball is fouled. It was okay. Pat Creek says as she turned, the ball hit her left elbow and she gets the free pass down to first base. So we have a a 1 out runner.
This pitch must have just nicked her as hard as it was, right there at the elbow, and we really can't tell whether it hit her, but evidently it did, because in my opinion the umpires are never wrong, are they, Ann?
Well, and you know, these umpires do an outstanding job. This is getting to the state championship for them too. It is an honor to be chosen, and Pat Creek has earned that, as have Bobby Mattingling and Steve Bond, and they can hear it, and they're in the best position to make the call. Now you see freshman Angie Waycaser up to bat. She had 2 hits in the quarterfinal game, and she needs to advance the runner quickly off the.
Oh.
Ashley Fowler had to dive back in there. She lost her balance, and that was a strike. Well, you got to get a little dirty in the game. Look, Mom, I played. Angie, a fine basketball player as well for Morton. 0-1 the count. Looks to bunt, slaps unsuccessfully, 0-2.
The bunt and the slap are going to be used frequently in this game.
It's kind of like a chess match with these two well-coached teams, very experienced teams. Moline holds the edge as far as years of experience, and Liddig strikes out Waycaser for out number 2.
Liddig continues to work that low outside corner. As you can see by this pitch, she's throwing the ball right over that low outside corner. She's got a good rollover drop ball.
And it was a great shot by our crew to show the hip turn for young pitchers to realize that's where so much of the power comes from.
Absolutely.
Tipped by Lucy Miller, strike 1.
Normally with 2 outs, a team will sometimes steal, but I don't think Morton will do that with their pitcher, particularly since Fowler's had a lot of trouble with her back this year.
Ball, 1-1. You might do it a little bit if there weren't 2 outs or a little different position in the game, but it's not worth it in the second inning at this point. But then again, we know Coach McIntosh is a very aggressive coach, and we can expect just about anything. Strike 2.
Both these pitchers are around the plate all the time. I think teams feel much better when they have pitchers throwing strikes than constant 3-2 strike counts all the time.
Right up to first baseman Mandy Volk, and unassisted, she tags out Lucy Miller for out number 3. We're going to be ready for the bottom half of 2. Right now, there is still no score. Stay with us. Fans, we'd like to remind you that the broadcast rights to tonight's state softball final have been granted to Sports Channel by the Illinois High School Association. Any reproduction or rebroadcast of this event without the written consent of the IHSA and Sports Channel is strictly prohibited. A great crowd on hand tonight. We're glad you decided to join us out in the audience as well. You are seeing a classic game of fast pitch right now.
Fast pitch is just what they say. It's fast. You can play a 7-inning game in 55 minutes, 56, 57 minutes, and neither one of these pitchers take a lot of time between pitches, and I think you'll see that here.
Well, we're going to have an interesting matchup here as you look at third baseman Trish Charbonneau, the cleanup hitter. In the doubleheader that they played right before the regional, Trish had a 3-run homer off of Ashley Fowler, and I'm sure she hasn't forgotten that, neither one of them.
Well, that's very impressive, but in watching Trish in this tournament, I've been even more impressed with her defense. She charges the ball, whether it's a bunt or a ground ball, as well as any third baseman I've seen in the 19-year history of this tournament.
She made a catch of a pop bunt and 2 double plays, and then she made a diving stab to her left of a liner that, again, a double play. So she's really had a stellar tournament, but I know she's frustrated with only being 1 for 3. And wants to get a little bit more time on base. Most people would be thrilled with a .333 batting average in the tournament, but she wants a little bit more, and that's what you want from good players. She's a senior.
Well, she's a very good student, too. She's looking at going to Brown University and majoring in engineering.
And that is strike number 1, so our count is 1-1 to Trish. It'll be interesting to see at the cleanup hitter if this will be the first one to see the changeup of Ashley Fowler.
I don't think she'll see much up in her eyes.
I wouldn't give her much either, the way she can hit the ball. Outfield is very deep, respecting her power. They've seen it before. Fouled off into the Morton crowd. Just a little bit out. 1-2 the count.
They're very deep on her, but the left fielder is playing her over towards center field, really playing her to hit late, as Morton plays all hitters to hit late against their pitcher.
Watching her, I can certainly understand that. She can bring it. Fouled up, and it's going to be just out of play into the Morton fans. And they hold up the souvenir. Of course, you don't get to keep them here at the state tournament. We sure appreciate them returning the balls, donated by Wilson.
The fans don't catch the ball quite as well as the players, I've noticed.
As Trish goes back to the plate. 1-2 the count. There you see Ashley Fauser.
She's like all good pitchers. She's in a zone. You could just about drive a tractor right by her now, and she wouldn't even notice it.
Her dad has been her coach since she was 9. Whoa, and she got the rise ball to get Trish to go fishing. And that is strikeout number 1 for Ashley Fauser.
She threw a waste pitch, and Trish bit at it. Very high and out of the strike zone. Just what good pitchers do when they're ahead on a 2-strike count. Try and get the batter to swing at a ball.
And that brings up DH Mindy Johns and strike number 1. Mindy hitting .412, which is a hefty batting average, hitting down in the number 5 spot. The bottom half of the second inning. Oh, there's the first change, and that was a little bit in the dirt.
She gets out there a little early with her stride, and that's when you throw the back of the hand changeup. If you step too soon, you're going to throw it in the dirt.
Strike number 2, 1-2. In the quarterfinal game, you talk about the zone. Ashley was in it. She had that changeup working so well. The St. Charles batters said in the paper later that we knew it was coming and we still couldn't do anything about it.
You'll notice after a pitcher throws a changeup like that, the batters always hit late, hit to right field. Do not hit aggressively.
Popped up to the shortstop, Lori Griner, for out number 2. And that's going to bring up Mandy Volk, the first baseman. Mandy, it's a nice problem to have a 300 hitters down the line in this 1 through 9 batting lineup for the Maroons. They are an outstanding hitting team. There's just no respite for a pitcher.
Their number 9 hitter would be batting 3 for a lot of teams in the state.
Well, of course, a lot of people use that number 9 batter as a second leadoff hitter, and when you've got this kind of talent, it certainly is easy to play with. Fouled off, hit her right on the inside of the bat.
Ashley Fauser does not throw many pitches down the middle. You're either going to get jammed, or you're going to get that low outside pitch, or you're going to get the off-speed pitch.
Well, and credit catcher Brooke Hatterman for calling great games for her. They really, really work well together. A couple of juniors that's tough if you're opposing teams, knowing they're going to be around again. Down to Angie Waykazer, picks it up, fires for the out to first baseman Lucy Miller. So after 2 complete innings, there is no score. Some of the fine crowd here. As we mentioned before, it is a record crowd here in the AA tournament, as was last weekend's A tournament, and that's just part of the fine work that Barb Waddell and her crew from Pekin High School do here in setting up this tournament. Pekin has housed and held so many tournaments from nationals to state, and it's just a perfect place to play softball.
Not only is it a perfect place to play softball, but when you get rain, they have a grounds crew that knows how to handle that situation.
Facing Sandy Littig is senior Kirsten Smith, one of only 3 starting seniors here on the team. Kirsten has moved all over the world, lived there as a result of her father traveling for business, and I'm sure the people in Morton are glad she settled here for her high school career.
Well, she's also playing in the Super 60 All-Star game. These 2 teams have a lot of players that have won individual honors, and Kirsten's one of them.
She's hitting .373 and plays center field. The left-handed hitter. She laced one down the right field line earlier in the tournament that got them into this final game. Goes outside on a nice pitch by Sandy Littig and gets Kirsten for out number 1.
Sandy continues to live on that low outside corner, and she's been very very effective. If you can, on this pitch, you see again the low outside rollover drop.
And that brings up the number 9 hitter, Sarah Stetter, left fielder. Sarah is a junior and takes ball number 1.
Sarah has good quickness. We'll see if they maybe bunt or slap with her or let her hit away.
And that is a swing for strike 1, evens the count at 1-1. I'm Ann Penstone along with Lori Ramsey bringing you this AA championship game. And we are in the top half of the 3rd inning. Two teams who know each other well. It's the 3rd time they played this year. Tries the bunt unsuccessfully, 1-2. Got a lot of movement there from Mandy Volk as she attempted the bunt. I wouldn't want to put it down towards Trish Charbonneau either.
I don't think it'd be too successful if you went that direction.
Oh, there's the change to the outside, just a little bit out, but boy, that ball went from inside out in a hurry.
Assistant coach Ron Van Gotham has spent a lot of time working with Sandy Littig, and more high school teams are getting pitching coaches to help.
Fouled off the glove of Sandy Littig, and her ability to field actually caused a little problem there, and we've got a base runner with 1 out. Now Morton has manufactured lots of things, and it's a game of inches with an aggressive coach. This is going to be fun to watch to see what Gigi McIntosh will do in this situation.
Well, they have good speed on first and a power hitter at the plate. Most leadoff hitters aren't power hitters, but that's not the case with Lori Greiner. She's hit to the fence a couple of times in this tournament.
That ruled a hit as you get the foul ball by Lori Greiner. So we've got the first runner and the first hit of the ball game. Lori, the leadoff hitter, last time she was out on the lazy fly to second base.
Morton has a lot of sophomores and juniors, which bodes well for next year also, Ann.
Not if you're the other team. Outside, 1-1. A lot of cat and mouse going on, a little chess game here between Coach McIntosh and Coach Seiss. Gigi smiles over at her runner at first. Good speed has Sarah Stetter.
They're going to do what they can to distract the pitcher and catcher. Makes it much better for the batter.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a little hit and run here. There it is. Oh! It looked good, but the long arms of Sandy Littig stabs the shot right up the middle, hit off the bat of Lori Greiner.
This is all reaction, and she's got quick reactions. She guides the throw, and the first baseman made a great play to catch that throw, which was headed over her head. Umpire Bobby Mattingly seemed very certain of the out there.
This is the bottom half of the 3rd, and you can see it's been a tight pitcher's duel so far. There is retiring coach Bob Seitz in his last game for the Maroons, and what a career he has had. What a classy gentleman. His teams always play well and act the same. Strike 1 to Kara Bunty. He has won 2 state championships, had a runners-up trophy, and he's done it all, and he says this one's for the kids. But I suspect Bob has always said that. Very modest man. 1-1.
He said he's retiring because he wants some time to do some things that he hasn't done yet.
Well, he's pretty much done it all in softball, so if he does as well in the other things as he's done doing that, as I'm sure he will, we all wish him well as he goes on with his second career, whatever that may be.
He had 2 state championships, 87 and 88, I believe it was, and finished second in 92.
There's a career anybody would be proud of, and I tell you what, coming out of the Western Big Six, it's even tougher because of the quality competition they have to play just to get out of the regional. Counts 1-2 to Kara Bunty. Leadoff hitter in the bottom of the 3rd. She hits one down to Holly Collins, who gobbles it up. She has been a vacuum cleaner in this tournament. She's very impressive. One of those players who is always in the right place.
And who loves to play defense. I think the big difference between the teams that get here and the teams that don't is at the defensive and pitching end, not necessarily at the hitting end.
Well, Laura, you're right. We've seen some stellar plays in this tournament, diving grabs, and Holly Collins is one of them who made it. Actually, a game-saving play as she went quickly to her left. The semi-dove and caught it, was able to get up and still make the play at first. It was a shot that had eyes.
That's right.
But not with her glove there. Now you're looking at Nikki Gorge, the catcher, the only sophomore starter on this Moline Maroons team. She must feel like the odd man out sometimes as the only returnee.
Well, she'll have to be the leader next year, that's definite.
Certainly as a catcher, she would have that natural role, so I'm sure she'll move quickly in for the Maroons. Fowler had been behind, but quickly comes back with a strike, 2-1.
It's interesting to look at the Morton infield and see that they also give the left field line at third base.
No one's been able to get around on Fowler. They're very confident of that. And this is the first time she's been behind. She goes 3-1 on Gorge. Well, she is a concentrated young lady. The count goes full, nice pitch, and even that one in a tough situation was not down the pipe in any way, shape, or form. She makes it tough to hit.
It's almost automatic when the runner starts running to first. The umpire's going to call a strike. Ashley's still in that zone. You can see the concentration on her face.
And there, oh, what almost a great play by Lori Griner going quickly back, and it just falls off the ice cream and will probably be ruled a hit.
She swings, and Griner just almost had it in the pocket. She never could quite decide whether to turn right or turn left, though. She backed up on it, and I think if she would have turned on it, she might have gained a step.
And it looked quickly hit off the glove of Lucy Miller and quickly comes over. Now we're going to have a play at third. Angie Wakehazer there makes the tag, going down to second. Whoa, it's a good thing Morton was backing up because that ball went all over. We'll try to recap what happened for you here.
Great job of backing up. Great job of backing up by Morton. Lori Griner off Miller's glove.
Fielded by Griner, down to Wakehazer.
Throws her out.
That was out number 2. Then the ball goes back to second, and the runner Tara Ely is safe at that point.
Griner backed that play up too. Or we could be chasing that to center field right now.
There were 3 people there to make sure it got no farther, and brings up leadoff hitter Jenny Pierce.
Jenny, one of the 4 players that still remain from the '92 team.
There are 2 outs and a runner on second, so we've got our first runner in scoring position.
Hatterman runs the team from behind the plate. Gigi McIntosh, the Morton coach, said that she had a real feel for the game.
2-0.
She calls the pitches. They don't come to her from the bench. That's a lot of responsibility for a catcher.
Fowler's behind this batter. And there's a strike on the outside corner, 2-1. Boy, when Brooke Hatterman gives it back to her pitcher, it gets there in a hurry.
You don't see the pitcher shake her off either.
No, and Fowler says she really likes the game that Hatterman calls. They work very, very well together.
Well, they've been together a long time. That helps.
Down to Wakehazer at third. Comes up throwing, and that is the 3rd out of the inning. So there was a base runner. Everybody's had one now, but there is still no score as you look at the Potters of Morton. There are big goose eggs on the scoreboard. We've played 3 innings, and there is no score, but there will be no hitters tonight, Lori.
Just like we predicted. When you've got good hitting and pitchers that have had to pitch 3 games in 2 days, it's a little tough to come up with those no-hitters.
Well, at bat is the outstanding second baseman for the Potters, Holly Collins. Holly struck out her first time up. There's that drag bunt down to Charbonneau, and there's the big arm, and she is out as she tries to leg it out to first.
It's going to be real tough to bunt down that third baseline. Charbonneau moves very quickly and has a very accurate and strong arm. She comes right over the top when she throws the ball.
No doubt about that, and it brings up designated hitter Deanna Smith. Went out short to first in the first inning. Hitting in the number 3 spot.
Smith's not a very big target to throw to, so you don't want to get behind on her.
One and one.
Sandy Littig continues to throw that low outside pitch to batter after batter.
And it is so tough to hit. And that ball is quickly popped up, and oh, just a foot foul, or it would have been trouble, and she would have been standing on first base, but it's nothing but a long fly at this point. Trots back. Gorge hands to the bat. It's going to be one of those games probably where a ball's going to have eyes and drop just in the right spot, and it's going to be a little game of inches. It's going to make the difference when two fine teams play each other. Tries to change and gets her looking. Strikeout victim.
Another low outside corner pitch.
And that's going to bring up catcher Brooke Hatterman.
Littig's firing on the last batter. Down and out, down and out. You have to make that little adjustment and step a little bit closer to the plate when they're living with that low outside pitch. Another low outside pitch there.
In the first inning, Brooke grounded out to the shortstop, looking to make some hard contact against Sandy Littig. After the little target in Smith, there's a big target in Hatterman, a tall young lady.
Hatterman's a little closer to the plate than Smith was, too. I think she's made that adjustment. Let's see if it pays off for her.
1 and 2 as Littig fires one right down the pipe. Both pitchers in command of what they're doing and know the hitters well, and their catchers are calling good games. A little bit outside and low. 2 and 2. Outfield deep and left, and playing the line on Hatterman.
Deep and right, too. And that's not her natural field.
Fouled off.
These pitchers both work very quickly.
No wasted time with either of them. They get right to business.
I think when a pitcher's confident, they throw with a fairly quick rhythm, and when they start doubting themselves, they sometimes slow down.
And there is strikeout number 5 for Littig. So after 3.5, there is no score as you look at Sandy Littig. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning here at Mineral Springs Park in Pekin, Illinois. Double-A girls softball. I'd like to let you know also that there was a 3rd place game in which Moline beat Sandburg High School 8-2 to take, those were your 3rd and 4th place teams in the state of Illinois. As you look at Susie Arnold, who got on a fielder's choice, thrown out pitcher to shortstop, and a double play in the first.
Moline continues to be very patient at the plate.
Of course, we talked with Bob Seitz before the game. He said that was a crucial thing to do against Fauser because of the change. But I think they're that way anyway, just like you said. Good teams are patient, aren't they?
I believe so. I know Coach Seitz said that he thought they'd try and take the change unless it were a 2-strike count and then swing for the fastball.
But if they had to deal with it, he said they'd prefer to bunt it. Oh, there it was. There's your first good look at the one that you can't do anything with.
Ashley's had a little control problem with it in this game, but that was right down the middle.
Great shot where you can see how much ahead Susie Arnold was of that pitch.
To the batter, it looks like it stops out there because it's got that backspin. It really slows it down.
So Fowler ahead 1-2. Leadoff hitter in the bottom of the fourth, fouled off. Count stays.
It's almost an automatic after they swing at one of those change-ups and they're way ahead of it. They're going to swing defensively and late on the next pitches.
The pitchers in high school ball are 40 feet away, and Fowler throws about 60 miles per hour. There's another one, and she gets her swinging as Hatterman alertly tags her out just to make sure on the drop third strike. Strikeout number 1 in this inning.
This one was down low, actually almost hit the ground, but when you swing, it just looks like it's up, and it just takes a long time to get there with that backspin. The pitcher throws it with the back of her hand coming toward the hitter.
That pitch is to Brandy Bevins, the center fielder. Brandy grounded out, or I'm sorry, the double play, grounded out in the first inning.
Brandy was on the 1992 second place team, and she's a Super 60 player and was in the homecoming court.
2-0, so she gets ahead of Fowler. Ashley walks around a little bit. She's ready to go to work. A little bit high. That's the first 3-0 count issued by Fowler. There is one out on a strikeout here in the bottom half of the fourth inning.
Well, this is her third game in 2 days, and as it is Littigs, and fatigue may start to take its toll as we get into the later innings of this ball game.
Comes right back with a strike. We mentioned before she's had a little bit of back trouble during the season.
She's taken some ultrasound treatment and also has been going to the chiropractor.
Said it felt a little tight earlier today, but then it loosened up during the game. I'm sure the heat helped that we had with the sunshine. That ball's fouled off, so quickly she comes back to make the count full against Bevins.
Moline had to beat Rock Island and United Township of East Moline just to get down here, and that's a pretty tall order in itself. And Morton had to come out of the very tough Mid-Illini Conference that sent 5 teams into this state tournament down through the years, 5 of the 7 schools.
Long foul fly towards the batting cages. Count stays full. So this has been a tough out here for Fowler, or something may happen.
You know, if you look at these 2 teams that are in the finals, they both come from areas where summer softball is very, very big. The Peoria area and the Quad Cities.
Fouled back over the book. And there's no substitute for experience. You see how well coached these teams are. They know exactly what they're going to do after each play. They don't spend time wondering what the call was. They just play the ball, and they are always in the right spots to make the plays. That is half the battle in coaching. Another foul ball. This has been a tough at-bat here. Bevins is hanging really tough against Fowler.
She's just trying to make contact, and she's certainly doing that.
Somebody's going to win this battle. Who's it going to be? Right back to Fowler, and she throws her out. Hauled in by Lucy Miller for out number 2.
Both of these pitchers have fielded flawlessly in this tournament. There's a lot of ways a pitcher can help herself with her defense. She's the 5th infielder, and some of them don't look at it that way.
Well, both these pitchers do, and that's one of the reasons they're so tough. You can't let that area up the middle go undefended. It makes a huge difference. It's going to bring up cleanup hitter Trish Charbonneau, who was a strikeout victim in the second. A little bit low.
Charbonneau has the power to put it over the fence, so she's one of those hitters you don't want to make that one mistake to.
Well, there have only happened 4 times in the history of the tournament. One of them was last weekend in the A tournament. You and I have seen all 4, and it's a good poke to knock it out of here.
It's 200 feet to the fence all the way around the park.
One ball in the semifinals today hit the fence on the fly, but stayed in the park. Charbonneau down to Angie Waykazer, who throws it away, and we're going to have an error on the third baseman, Angie Waykazer, and our runner with 2 outs is Trish Charbonneau. Tough play for the third baseman.
Waykazer fields the ball and then really didn't follow through on her throw and kept her hand high, and that's exactly what happened to the ball.
That's going to bring up Mindy Johns, a designated hitter, with Charbonneau at first. Strike 1 from Fowler. Fielded the ball well. It's just a tough one. It happens sometimes, and she'll come back. If you look at Johns,
we see it in the big leagues all the time, and they play 160 games in about that many days.
There's a change, evening the count. 1-1.
Fowler's still trying to keep the hitters off balance with that change, and she's certainly doing a good job of it.
Oh, and right back that's what it's all about. Has difficulty with the throw, comes right back with a nice play to stab the liner off the bat of Mindy Johns. And we're still 0-0 after 4 complete here in Pekin, Illinois. Season for Sports Channel as the high school season comes to an end, as you see the Potters fans cheering on their team. Of course, they've had quite a day. As you look at the infield for Moline, the Potters have also worked their way into the semifinals of the boys baseball tournament, who came back to cheer on the girls, and it's always nice to see schools cheer for each other.
Their boys team won this morning 9-1 against Belvedere, and I'm sure some of these fans were up there for that game and have come back down here for the game with Moline.
Well, the first batter for Morton is the pitcher, Ashley Fowler. She was hit by a pitch in the second and became the only base runner to date for the Potters. There's that low outside pitch by Lennon. 1-1.
I'd say Liddick's thrown about 80% of her pitches down and out, and I don't think she's going to change. She's had great success doing that.
We're going to get a question as to whether or not there was a strike, and first base umpire Mattingly says yes, she went around. Count goes 1-2.
Bobby Mattingly, the first base umpire, played in the Women's Professional Softball League with the St. Louis Hummers and was quite a hitter in her own right.
Not a bad catcher either. As Fowler looks at the changeup offered by Liddig, and that is strike 3. So the 2 pitchers going at each other.
We see the pitch coming from Liddig, and again, outside corner. Every strikeout almost, without a doubt, has been an outside pitch. She throws that little low drop and a little curve.
That brings up Angie Waykazer, the young lady who had the nice play on the dying liner at the end of the 4th inning, but she goes to Liddig and is out number 2. So making contact, but not finding any holes right now are the Potters of Morton, and that's going to bring up first baseman Lucy Miller. Lucy grounded out in the second. And there is a long fly ball out, dying quickly, but a nice grab by Tara Ely for out number 3. So as Sandy Liddig walks off, it's still 0-0. Well, not to be left out, the teams are battling neck and neck, and the 2 sets of fans have been hollering, "We are Morton," and followed up by "We are Moline," trying to out-yell each other. As you look at Mandy Volk, the first batter here in the bottom of 5. Lori, this is a game that is very, very tight. Who is going to make the first move and make something happen?
You know, the batters are starting to make a little bit better contact, and as they see a pitcher the second and third time around, that's a natural thing to happen. So I think we're going to see a little action in the next few innings.
Mandy Volk did the same thing in the earlier inning, and Angie Wakeser fires her out, as she did in the second inning, for out number 1.
I'm wondering if we're going to see more bunting, because that's just a big weapon in softball, and it's a weapon that creates mistakes, and somebody's got to force a mistake when you're batting against 2 pitchers like we're seeing here tonight.
Kara Bunty was out grounding out to the second baseman, and she swings at that first offering. 0-1. Kara, the senior right fielder.
Neither pitcher looks like she's slowing down.
No, in fact, both pitchers have been getting stronger in general during the tournament in the later innings, but I don't know after 3 games if that makes a big difference tonight. I asked Sandy Litting how many games she had pitched before in one game, or one day. What was the most? She said 7.
Yes, they pitch a lot in these summer softball tournaments.
I said, you made the mistake of getting in the loser's bracket in that tournament, didn't you? She says, yep, and we had some rainouts we had to make up too. Hard hit right off the glove of Lucy Miller, and trying to field it is Holly Collins, but not before we get our first base runner. As we talked about somebody making something happen, there it is.
We hit a sharp ball right at Miller. She didn't really have time to get her glove down. Collins made a great effort diving towards the second base side, but too late.
With base runner Kara Bunting, up comes Nikki Gorge. We're probably going to see a bunt right here as the first and third are really inching in. One of the weapons that Morton does have is the very, very strong arm of Brooke Hatterman behind the plate. They may make an attempt at second, and of course, Fowler is an excellent fielder as well. But you've got to get the outs with 1 down. Goes for the attempt, and it's a strike, 0-2.
Moline down at the end of their batting order. Gorge is the number 8 hitter, but in this lineup, they're all tough.
Well, now, of course, if you attempt the bunt with 2 strikes, you're out unless it's successful. So it'll be interesting to see where they continue to attempt it against Fowler. She goes, did not look to bunt. She wastes a pitch, 1-2.
I doubt if they'll try and run on Hatterman. She just comes out into the throwing position so quickly.
I've seen her throw to second on her knees on a rope, so standing up, she's deadly. Goes high, 2-2. There she goes down to first. Every fielder's got to be awake when Hatterman's behind there, because she's got the gun to throw it down.
These outfielders do a good job of backing up the throw.
They are very deep for Nikki Gorge.
Melinda Davis was right on that line when Hatterman made that throw.
2-2 the count. Popped up, foul, nobody able to get there. She has new life. She hustled down, but she gets the bat back. And a friendly tap from Terry Ely. Look at the concentration on Ashley Fowler's face. That's a pitcher.
That's called a great hunger to win.
We may be having our first time here, but we don't intend to do anything but try to win it.
That's right.
Oh, there's the deadly change. What a spot to put it in, and she gets her looking at that changeup.
You see the back of her hand coming. Oh. The batter way in front.
And look at the position Brooke Hatterman came up in. She caught the ball and was immediately looking to fire to first. That is a heads-up battery as we look at Tara Ely with 2 outs, runner on first. Foul down through the legs of Lucy Miller, down to right fielder Melinda Davis, and the runners go first to third as the advancing ball puts Ely on first and moves Kara Bunty around to third.
We see a sharply hit ball here, right through her legs, and Davis made a very smart play in throwing to second and heading off the lead runner. She had no play at all at third, and one of the things that we've noticed in this tournament is some of the teams that aren't here tonight have let that runner go to second and put runners on second and third by making that useless throw to third base. Morton's a very heads-up team defensively. They seem to always think ahead to the next play.
Well, the big play in the semifinal game was just in this situation. Runner going down to second. Hatterman watched the runner at third and the runner at second, made the decision to go to second, There was no run down. She tagged her before the run came home. So let's see what happens here. Whoa, Hatterman just about threw that away, saved by Fauser. Two experienced teams. Moline getting in that situation very likely to get into a rundown in time to let the runner at third come home in the person of Kara Bunty. Want to know the count?
I know that Coach McIntosh likes to play aggressively, but this late in the game, you don't.
And that pitch goes off the glove of Hatterman, and there is the first run of the ball game here in the bottom of the fifth after 2 outs.
Little bit of a wild rise ball, and then there was no one there to back the ball up. Moline's runner advances to third alertly on that play.
That was a tough one because that ball, there's Gigi McIntosh talking to her team.
And this is a time when she should be out there talking to them, calming them down. One run doesn't a loss make. She's smiling, I think trying to loosen them up in this situation.
There's a player being the coach. She talked to us earlier today about how much respect she has for her coaches now that she's been in a situation and what calm demeanor she's bringing and positiveness. Look at that on the field. That is so nice to see. Hey guys, you have to score 1 run anyway to win, so now we'll just have to come back and score 1 to tie and then get an extra one.
Right, and Coach McIntosh made a point before the game that she wanted her team relaxed going into this game, and I think that's just what she tried to do there.
And that's going to bring up leadoff hitter Jenny Pierce. We have a runner on third in the person of Tara Ely, and there are 2 outs. 1 run is across. Looks to bunt, and that's a great. Fauser comes right back with a strike. 2-1. Of course, all that action came off of the ball thrown to Jenny Pierce, off the glove of Hatterman. And there's a foul tip held on by Hatterman. Count even, 2-2.
Ely, a good athlete, also plays basketball. Quick. You might look for a bunt even on 2 strikes here. Any way to get that extra run in. 2 runs takes you a little bit away from bunting.
And there goes the hit right up. Oh, but grabbed by center fielder Kirsten Smith, and now you know why. She's one of the top Super 60. She makes the grab of the dying liner, and Morton's going to come to bat in the top half of 6. Well, we've been waiting for a long time for something to happen, and the first team to do it are the Moline Maroons as they lead 1-0. And they are psyching up to play some defense right now.
Kirsten Smith, who made that great catch on that sinking liner at the end of the last inning, the first batter, which is typical.
Well, sometimes great defensive gems lead to the other half. So let's see what Kirsten can do. She takes a little bit of a late swing, strike 1.
Even though she's a lefty, Sandy's going outside to her, Sandy Littig, just as she goes outside to the right-handed batters.
Kirsten came into this tournament as a .373 hitter, so she can do some damage. And there into the hole, picked up by Pierce, the long throw, and she is out at 1.
What an arm and what a quick release Pierce has.
What a difference that makes, because boy, that would have been a leadoff speedy batter at first base.
You see Smith hit the ball down there, and you see how quickly she gets rid of it. She was down, up, and it was away in a split second.
And it was a good stretch by first baseman Mandy Volk to complete that play. And brings up Sarah Stetter for strike 1. Stetter part of a double play on a liner, but she had singled to set that up in the second inning. So she has the 1 hit so far against Sandy Littig.
Littig continues to throw that low outside curve.
Count evens at 1-1. Morton trying to make something happen after going down 1 run after the last half inning. Littig fools Stetter on that pitch. 1-2. Stetter's a junior.
I don't think Littig's been above the waist with about her last 25 pitches, and it's been highly successful for her.
Whoa, and she gets Stetter on the change for strikeout number 5.
Nothing like a run to give a pitcher confidence. There she took a little bit off, kept it low and out, and it looked like she just threw her drop but took a little speed off of it, and Stetter was out a little bit early like a lot of hitters are on a changeup.
Miscounted a little bit there. That is her 7th strikeout and brings up leadoff hitter Lori Greiner.
Greiner's a very dangerous hitter because she can hit the long ball and has in this tournament.
Boy, if you remember, she was the one that shot the right up to Sandy Littig, and she may drop one in, but no, there's ever-present Jenny Pierce off the bat of Lori Greiner, and they squelch any threat in this half of the inning. Stay with us. We've got a good one.
Pinch hitter Kelly Dexter coming up for Susie Arnold, and this is the 3rd game in a row she's been used as a pinch hitter. She's 1 for 2 and swings the bat very well.
Oh, she's hitting .359, so good move here by Bob Seitz. A little bit high and outside.
I was impressed by the fact that Ashley Fauser ran to the mound from the dugout to start her warm-up pitches. I don't think she's going to give in this situation. She's going to come back strongly.
A little bit behind, 2-0 right now to Dexter. Well, Fauser's been in this situation once before, but her pitching has been outstanding, and she's just not going to give anything good to a .359 hitter. Strike number 1. Dexter tossed the bat and hoped she might draw the walk. Nope, says Pat Creek. Come back and try it again.
It's almost an automatic strike when they start running towards first base.
Not convincing anybody.
You can't show the umpire up. You have to stay in there and let them make the call. You can't make it.
Fouled out, the count goes full.
Ashley Fauser's actually been ahead on the count almost all the way through the ball game. This is one of the few times she's been behind.
Well, the last time she went 3-0, she came back and got a little tapper right up to her. And she gets the strikeout against Kelly Dexter. For out number 1, this is the bottom of the 6th inning.
Fauser has a very good low pitch of her own, only she jammed her low instead of going low and outside.
And that's going to bring up the center fielder, Brandy Bevins, who was out pitcher to first in the 4th inning. Has grounded out twice tonight. And that ball is just outside the foul line, as you see the hustling Holly Collins and Melinda Davis out the right side of the infield and outfield, and hustling back is Brandy Bevins.
Bevins has a short, compact swing, and that lends itself to a lot of contact by the hitter, even against pitchers like Ashley Fauser.
0-1 the count. There's 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Moline leads this game 1-0. Changeup grabbed nicely by Brooke Hatterman. 1-1.
When you hold on to that back of the hand changeup a little bit too long before releasing it, that's when you throw it high.
And the count goes 1-2. She's hanging tough in there. We'd also like to remind you that all the great job that Barb Waddell here at Pekin High School has done in hosting all of the state tournaments. This is the 19th. And tagged out alertly by Brooke Hatterman for out number 2. Barb and Athletic Director Kent Ayers put on a great show here under the direction of the Illinois High School Association Assistant Executive Director Sue Henriksen. We thank them for the great job they do in promoting girls sports here in Illinois. Next year is going to be a special tournament as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the softball tournaments here in Illinois. As you look at Trish Charbonneau.
Bevins struck out on a ball on the ground that was a changeup. That's how tough it is to stay with that change.
And out to Holly Collins. You can count that one in the book as soon as it gets anywhere near here. And Morton will come to bat in the top half of 7. It's do or die time. Well, the Moline fans, as you see the maroon over there, are hoping this lead holds up. And they strike out, recording out there for Sandy Littig, who has pitched a fine ball game.
I thought they did that for Doc Gooden, but I guess they do it in softball too.
It's catchy. And if it works, why not do it? Well, we've got the heart of the lineup here is just what you want when you're Morton at 2, 3, and 4, and Holly Collins will be our first batter. She went out on a grounder to the third baseman. And the fourth.
This is a huge out here for Moline. They need to get that leading lady, particularly one that's got the good legs and good speed that Holly Collins has got.
Holly batting lefty and lay down, tries a slap. She hustles all the way down there, but it's a foul ball. Strike one.
You'll see a lot of slapping in major college softball. They're doing everything they can to create more run opportunities in softball, moving the mound back, making the core of the ball more, a little bit more live or hard.
Tries a slap again, 0-2. So Sandy Littig, the senior, and the senior-dominated team are 3 outs away from a state championship and sending their coach, Bob Seitz, out, a state champion in his last year.
Right before the game, the whole Moline team met down the left field line with the coaches, and they all had their arms around each other. I think it was a real show of togetherness before they went out there.
Well, if they're able to do it, as you see that strikeout against Holly Collins, it will have been against a tremendous team of Morton Potters, coached by Gigi McIntosh.
Littig again lives on the outside corner, and that's been a very hard pitch for Morton to hit, as it is for a lot of people.
She would have needed an extend-a-bat to get to that one. Deanna Smith, the designated hitter, up facing Littig, and she goes right at her with a changeup for strike number 1. Littig loved that.
Smith doesn't give you much of a target to pitch to, and she makes pretty good contact.
Evens the count at 1-1. Well, these two teams, as we mentioned, have played. This is the 3rd time this year. The first 2 games were run-1 ball games, and so is this one. Moline came out on top on those 2, and so far the story is much the same. A little bit low, 2-1.
Low and outside, and it did look outside.
Smith hanging tough.
Power hitter Brooke Adderman on deck.
Fouled off. The Potters have only had 1 base runner in this game. They'd sure like to get one on now and see what Hatterman can do to move her around.
You have to give Ron Van Gotham a lot of credit for his work with Sandy Littig, and you have to give Ashley Fauser's father, John, a lot of credit for his work with her.
And boy, that was a race down to first base. Second baseman Susie Arnold had to outrace Deanna Smith because as first baseman Mandy Volk attempted to field the play, there was no one to cover.
The first baseman made a great effort, and the second baseman showed great foot speed. There's few substitutes for speed in softball or any other sport.
You can't manufacture it, either have it or you don't. And it also pays to know what you're going to do when you get it, which obviously Susie Arnold was well ready. As you look at outstanding catcher Brooke Hatterman.
Both crowds are standing and applauding now. The Moline crowd applauding for an out, the Morton crowd applauding for a hit.
Change up low and outside to Hatterman. This has just been an outstanding ball game. Everything you'd like it to be. Two great teams going at each other. And the littlest game of inches making the difference. Fouled out. That ball got away from Liddick, but nobody on, so no damage. But she is behind Hatterman, 2-0.
Just an inch or two on Hatterman's glove, and this would be a tie game yet.
They're taking no chances. They're going to have a conference on the mound and make sure they know what they're doing here. Of course, the run created by Moline was had with 2 outs. They respect this Morton team and want to make sure they don't do anything to give them a chance to get somebody on.
I'm sure he's discussing not giving her a pitch that's too good, because the extra base hit's about the only thing that could really hurt them right now.
Well, 2-0 count, you don't want to come down with something she'd like to see.
I'm sure they're not going to try and pitch around her, but they're not going to give in to her either. She's going to have to hit their pitch in this situation.
She hits it down to second baseman Susie Arnold, who tosses it to Volk, and there are your state champions, the Moline Maroons, 1-0 over the Potters of Morton. And you see the excited team and fans as the guys from Moline vaulted the fence, those that were hanging up the K's for the strikeouts, and there's a big celebration down around home plate.
Coach McIntosh off talking to her girls, and I think trying to help them handle this situation right now, which is a very class and professional thing to do. The high school boys from Moline look like they're as excited as the team is.
Well, don't go away. We'll be back with the awards right after this. So your Class AA state champions, the Maroons of Moline, beating Morton 1-0 in an outstanding ball game. And the trophy for runner-up in the state presented to the Potters of Morton. Outstanding team coached by Gigi McIntosh. They're young, they'll be back. And the championship trophy presented by Barb Waddell to the Maroons of Moline, their 3rd in the school's history. Now let's go down to Lorraine Ramsey on the field with a couple of very happy Moline Maroons.
Coach Seitz, this was a dream finish to your career. It's like something you'd see in the movie. How do you feel now?
Well, it was a perfect script, I guess. It was written for us tonight, and it's just unbelievable. But part of the reason's right here in my left, and the tremendous defensive effort we got from all the Maroons tonight on the defense. And I'm real proud of all our girls, the whole team, the coaching staff, and the city of Moline for the great support we've had.
I noticed right before the ball game you met with your team down the left field line, and they all had their arms around each other, and you had your arms around them too. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, that's a little bit of history. It goes back to Moline for a number of years to the late Dick Motter was my assistant coach, and we have a little saying, if you think you can, you can. And we go through that every game before we do it and just have the girls believe in themselves and each other and the team. But it's a great tradition at Moline, and we believe in it. If you think you can, you can.
Sandy, you pitched an absolutely outstanding game, and I noticed that you stayed low and outside, and you talked to your pitching coach quite a bit between innings. Was that the game plan?
Yes, we played them before, and they hit the heck out of my ball, and so this time Ron and I got together after every inning, and we decided the low and outside would be the best thing to throw them.
Did you feel like this was the best game you pitched in the tournament?
Yes, it was the best, I think. I mean, the strikeouts were there, everything was working, so I think it was the best game I've ever thrown this tournament.
Congratulations on an outstanding effort by both of you, and we'll go back up to Ann right now.
Thanks a lot, Lori, and congratulations to the state champs, Moline Maroons, and the runners-up, Morton High School. Our next IHSA event on Sports Channel will be the 1994 Boys Class AA State Baseball Championship tomorrow at 7 p.m. This game was produced and directed by Dave Turner. Graphics coordinator, Ron Stordo. Our executive producer at Sports Channel is John Toohey. Remote facilities were provided by Trio Video of Chicago. Once again, the state AA champion is Moline, beating Morton 1-0. For Lorraine Ramsey, I'm Ann Penstone saying goodbye for now. Reminding you that the proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel.